What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Armaret, and I am back this time bringing you my review of the mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead. Now, if you remember when I did my Walking Dead Let's Play, I said, going forward, this will be the channel for Walking Dead news, Walking Dead reviews about comic books, TV shows, and games coming forward. So here I am, true to my word. I just finished watching the mid-season premiere. I watched it actually a day late because I got back in town late from a business trip. But I have to say, it picks up at the exact same place where the last one ended off. So you have Daryl and Merle being surrounded in the arena as the governor is chanting for them to fight to the death. And at that point, I should say, spoilers abound. There will be a ton of spoilers, so brace yourself. Okay, back to the story then. Maggie and Rick go back to save them, throwing some stun grenades, some smoke grenades, shooting off the AR-15s, and they actually were able to get them out safely. And then at that point, they meet up with Glen out and Michonne out in the woods by their car. And in that point, Daryl decides that he is going to leave with Merle, because since nobody wants Merle around, because if you remember, dude's an asshole and a sick douchebag. So they decide to just leave, and then Glen gets mad at Rick for actually not fighting to keep Daryl around. But Rick's philosophy is it's up to him whether or not he wants to go. And just like that, the two Dixon brothers are gone. So then we fast forward back to the prison. So at this point we know Tyrese has now come into the picture, along with 3 other companions. They kind of snuck in and were saved by Carle in the season finale. And then now comes the decision of do they stay or do they go. And there was like this little bit of awkward conversation in which the 2 brothers that were with Tyrese were saying, oh, it's only a little boy, it's only a woman, we could take them, take their guns, and then take the prison for ourselves. Now what they don't realize is that the little boy and the woman is Carle and Carle, 2 of the biggest badasses on the team. You ain't taking nothing from. But at the moment when they're about to actually go and attack them and take it from them, both Axel and the other Herschel daughter came out with the shovel and a pickaxe and said, hey, here's some stuff to help you dig the grave for your loved one. Do you want us to help? And with that, they kind of realized that, hey, these people are nice people. They're not gonna hurt us. So then at that point, Rick comes back, and he is just a broken man at this point. He goes and he tells Carle that Daryl is gone. Then she's sad and freaks out, and then he's got to tell Carle that Oscar is also dead, because he dies in the raid, if you remember. And now, not only does he have to deal with the loss of Daryl, who's not dead, just gone, and the loss of Oscar, who is dead. And then now he sees Glen, he sees Maggie, he knows the atrocities that's happened to them. How does he try to come to grips with this? And they kind of pan back to the town, in which the townspeople are freaking out. They want out, and they won't let them go. And of course, Andrea, being Andrea, makes this big speech about how, when history looks back at Woodbury, they're going to remember that we stood and fought. And there's this real kind of cheesy, pathetic moment, because Andrea at this point knows that all of her old friends are alive. She knows that they're okay, but yet she still chooses to side with Woodbury versus them, which really kind of sucks. And at that point, Woodbury gets attacked by 3 walkers, and they're put down fairly quickly. But then we fast forward back to the prison, and this is kind of like where everybody finally realizes that Rick has lost it. So at this point you have Glen, who's pissed off. Glen is angry. He wants revenge for what happened to Maggie. And Rick's pretty much saying, hey, calm down, calm down. And he let Daryl go, which pisses Glen off even more. So now he's mad, and Herschel is like tending to him, making sure he's okay. And at this point, Herschel pretty much says, I don't know what would have happened if anything had happened to Maggie or to you, almost like saying, hey, you are now my son. And it's kind of like a little cool bonding moment for the 2 of them. But he's still angry as hell. And then now finally comes the moment where Rick, for the first time in the show, meets Tyrese. Now, if you know anything about the comic books, he actually meets Tyrese at Herschel's farm, and they're good friends with two strong opinions, so they do kind of butt heads sometimes, but they're good friends the whole way through. In the show, the first time they meet is actually at the prison, and Rick just runs right by him the first time, and then he comes back, and his initial response is, no, we don't want you, you have to go. And it's not because he's afraid of resources, but he kind of says it like, I can't be responsible, because if you think about it, everybody that he's been responsible for this point has pretty much died, so he doesn't want that burden. But Herschel pretty much pulls him aside and says, look, we have to try to help them. They're good people, please try to listen. And Tyrese makes his argument, I understand, you don't want all blood on your hands, I get it, we'll help out in any way possible, but if you kick us out, all bloods will be on your hands, just think about it. And then at that point, if you remember, at the beginning part of this season, the whole incident with the phone call down in the gutters of the prison after Laurie died, he now looks up and sees this phantom figure of this woman, which we assume to be his Laurie because they don't really show the face, and he just loses it. Like, he freaks out in front of his entire crew and Tyrese's crew, screaming like, get out of here, what are you doing here? He starts waving the gun around, and that scares the shit out of Tyrese and his people. So Glen immediately is like, oh crap, let me get these people out of here, and Glen pushes them out in an attempt to kind of, make sure that, one, that they're safe, and that two, they don't continue to see the mental breakdown of their leader. So now the question then becomes, everybody now knows that Rick is broken, and it's not just Glen who had saw it once before at the bowels of the prison. The question is, is he going to be the leader going forward? Do they replace him with somebody? If they replace him, who do they replace him with? Do they bring Tyrese in and automatically dub Tyrese as the leader? Because Daryl is gone now. Does Glen maybe pick up the reins, being that the badass that he has become? Does he become the lead now? Or does it go to someone like Herschel, the more cool, level-headed, wise man? Or maybe it goes to Carle, the fearless young one who eventually will be the leader, just surely because of his age. There's tons of questions that arise, but the one thing that I have to admit about this episode is it wasn't as action-packed and it wasn't as exciting and exhilarating as the other episodes have been in the first half of the season. But there were a lot of moving, dynamic pieces that they kind of had to fit together. When it was Daryl and Merle, how were they going to fit into the group? And we know that they didn't, so they left. How was he going to now deal with Michonne, who left them at the beginning of the fight at Woodbury once she got them in? How do they now deal with Tyrese? And then how does Rick deal with the loss of another one of the people that was put in his charge? So I really wasn't expecting a ton of action in this first one, but I also wasn't expecting it to be as slow as it was. But all in all, I think it was a good episode, and I'm really intrigued to see where they go going forward, because now the group is splintered and it's fractioned, and I think it was a cool avenue that they're taking in which Rick is mentally just deteriorating, and can he pull his shit together before the governor comes down and attacks the prison, which you can only assume would probably be sometime around the season finale, whether it's the first assault or the second assault, depending on whether or not you read the comics. So it's a ton of stuff to look forward to. First episode down, and here's to a ton more. In the comments below, put what you thought about the episode, and as always, thank you and have a good one.